Hey, my name is Aaron Selkirk. I'm the CEO of Selkirk Performance Unit, and I'm going to take you through our system and how it all works. So, welcome, first and foremost, and well done for taking this step. All right. Okay. So, this is our system. And if you can look at this system like a Maslow hierarchy of needs, right, we have the most important things being the lower part, right? So, the really solid base, the really solid foundation is the most important. And that's what I'm going to talk mostly about today, but I'll give you some examples, okay? So if we have you sleeping 4 hours a night, it's not going to help very much if we have you meditating 10 minutes a day, right? The most important thing is sleeping more, okay? If we have you doing a customized fancy program with perfect tempos, perfect rep ranges, perfect weights, it doesn't matter that much if you only do 2,000 steps or 1,000 steps per day, okay? So we need to get you moving more often. This is what we'll talk about steps. Right? It doesn't matter if you eat organic food or you take the perfect fish oil supplement. If you eat 10,000 calories per day, you're probably still going to be overweight, right? Depending on how much you move, but probably still going to be overweight. But I'm going to talk about these things today, but that's the fundamental part of our system, and it's the Maslow hierarchy of needs sort of principle. The most important things being at the bottom, and we're going to focus on those because they give you the largest ROI, so the largest return for your investment, for your time, and the more you're going to get out of it. Right. I created this system to help executives and entrepreneurs gain more energy, pretty much anyone, right? Gain more energy, not waste time on meaningless exercise, cut the crap when it comes to nutrition. There's a lot of nutrition diets out of there that are just absolute shit. I've come to make it really, really simple. Make it simple and effective for anyone to execute at any level. So if you're a complete beginner, 50% body fat, this is going to work for you. If you're an athlete, this is going to work for you. Okay, recover faster and stress less, and get more out of your daily life and build effective habits. So this is the fundamental part of the system. Okay, a lot of time there is a lot of fancy programs, fancy nutrition, and most of it is bullshit. Right? I want to make it really, really simple so you can execute. Okay. We have a training roadmap, a nutrition roadmap, and a recovery roadmap, and they correlate to the pyramid. But I just want to take you through this really, really quickly. Okay. So first we have here is we need to make sure that you're not in pain. So we need to make sure that you're not hurting. You don't have any problems that you should see a doctor about. You should see a physio about. We want to get you moving. That is the most important thing. Okay, because movement is medicine. A lot of the time, if we fix a lot of the movement, get you moving, a lot of the pain will go away. Also, if we get you breathing a lot better, a lot of that will go away as well. Okay, so first here we fix breathing and we fix getting your daily steps in. Right. The second part that we fix that we work on is your aerobic conditioning. Right. So it's more important to have a good aerobic system to look after your heart, to look after your HRV, to be able to recover between workouts, between sets, than it is to increase your maximum bench, for example. Right here, we want to make sure that you can move your own body, that you can control your own body, and that you can do push-ups before you can do bench press. Right? There's no point if you can't do a push-up. There's no point you're moving to the bench. Just an example. Okay, here this is when we move to the barbell stuff. The green part, right, is where we move to the barbell stuff, and we focus on getting the basics of gym training in. And the gold stuff is more when we're looking at athlete preparation. All right, nutrition. Really, really simple. We're looking at building effective nutrition habits over a period of time, right? And we basically categorize you based on your body fat because that gives us a general idea as to what you need to focus on. Okay, really, really simple stuff. Not going to go into too much detail there because the habits are what matter more. Right, this is recovery. Right, as I said before, there's no point worrying about meditation. Around here, if you are sleeping less than 6 hours a night, we want to get that sleep time up as much as possible. Then we want to optimize your sleep environment. Then we want to add these stress management techniques like meditation or even stress-inducing stuff like cold showers or breathing sessions and stuff like that as well. Right, but this is how we go. Okay, the truth about habits. And the reason when I was a coach back when I first became a coach around about 12 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, I used to write fancy training programs, fancy nutrition plans, fancy recovery plans. But then I realized that in that fancy plan, there was around about 30 to 40 things a person had to do if they didn't already do some of those things. Okay. And what I found was that people could do this for 1 to 2 weeks. And this has been researched, by multiple people, that you can only build generally one habit at a time, depending on how committed you are. But we teach one habit at a time. I'm going to show you 4 habits today, but I'm going to give you one right at the end. All right. So in the end, we're going to get one habit. All right. The first, and so because what happens is if I give you 2 habits, if I give you one habit, there's an 80% success rate. If I give you 2 habits, there is generally a 35% success rate. And if I give you 3 habits at one time, there is generally a 5% success rate. And obviously 5% is not good enough, right? So we give you one habit at a time. Make sure you hit it 80% of the time before we give you a new one. We might give you a new one in 1 week. You might get it in 2 weeks. You might get it in 3 weeks. It depends how consistently you are in hitting those habits and hitting those goals. All right. The truth about habits is you need that instant feedback, right? This is a little bit of a trick here. This is the habit loop, and this is called the reward part. So you get hungry, you cook the food, you eat the food, and then you get the reward. The problem is these days is that everything is instant reward, right? We have social media, we have gaming, we have things like Uber Eats. It is instant reward, right? We do something and then something turns up straight away. The problem with health and fitness is that we don't go for a walk and lose 5 kilos. We don't do a sit up and get a 6-pack. We don't do a bicep curl and get Arnold Schwarzenegger's arms. It sucks, I know, but that's the truth, right? The thing is, what we need to do here is we need to give you instant feedback to motivate you to do the cue, the routine, and get the feedback again. So that could be in this group, posting your habit to your coach or to a partner, to a friend, to a colleague, to an accountability partner, or so on. But making sure they give you instant feedback, and same goes for the opposite. All right. I'm going to give you 4 habits now, but one is going to matter, and that's the one we're going to focus on at the end. Right? I just want to explain our system and why it matters, why and how it works. Okay, because losing weight comes down to calories in versus calories out. There are factors that affect calories in versus calories out, like hormonal environment and so on. But as long as you tick these bottom things off, you won't have many problems. Okay. What the hell is calories in versus calories out and total daily energy expenditure? Okay. So this is the calories out side of the perspective, right, of the equation. All right. We have the basal metabolic rate, which is how many calories you burn per day by doing absolutely nothing. So if you were in a hospital bed, this is what you'd be burning per day. Okay, 60% of your total daily energy expenditure is done by your basal metabolic rate. All right. This is why we focus on move more, the NEAT, the non-exercise activity. So this is me right now talking, moving my hands like this is actually NEAT. But the thing that we can measure really well is steps, right? So that is the thing that we focus on as coaches. All right, that's 20 to 25%. And why this is more important than your exercise activity from a very, very large perspective is because exercise activity is only less than 10% per day. Okay, so that's if you have a very tough workout, you'll get 10% total daily energy expenditure from that workout. All right. Most people train 1.8 times per week. So if we look at it from a weekly perspective, okay, and total instead of daily energy expenditure, it's total weekly energy expenditure. To make this really simple, we're looking at 700%, right? There's 7 days in a week, 100% per day, right? 700%. And 1.8 times per week training, which would be 18%, or let's say 20 to make this maths simple because I'm a pretty simple man, right? 20% total weekly energy expenditure comes from exercise activity on average, right? Here, NEAT, non-exercise activity, getting our steps in. We're looking at, on the minimum, 140% total weekly energy expenditure. So the value of getting the steps in and focusing on that is going to far outweigh how important or how many calories you burn during a workout. I do not focus on calories in a workout ever. I focus on different things. Okay, but we're going to focus on steps first and foremost. Here we have a thermogenic effect of food. Different macronutrients like proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, which I'll go into, have different thermic effects of food. I'm going to explain, which basically means when you eat a certain macro, when you eat certain foods, it's going to burn more energy to digest that food. Okay, here. Right, macros being the bottom thing as spoken about before. It's more important than what fancy fish oil supplement you take, right? We're going to focus on those first. Okay, macros are building blocks, right? You might know them already. Proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, right? Fat provides 9 calories per gram. So this is what we're looking at the calories in perspective, right? Fat provides 9 calories per gram, and its thermic effect of food is 0 to 3%. So to digest fats, it doesn't require that much energy, right? Carbohydrates provides 4 calories per gram. You might notice when you eat a big bowl of oatmeal that it might make you sweat a little bit, might make you warm up, right? Even if it's a cold bowl of oatmeal, because the calorie density requires a lot to burn that fuel. Okay, so 5 to 10%. Right, protein though. If we think about the Brazilian barbecue, we go and we get those meat sweats. Right, that is because it requires a lot of energy to digest that protein. Right, so meat sweats. Right, everyone knows that. It's the thermic effect of food is 20 to 30%. Right. So that is one of the reasons why we focus on protein being the first macronutrient. Other reasons, obviously, are because they're the building blocks, right? They help you build more muscle, right? Which is going to help your basal metabolic rate down the line, okay? But it's also a lot more satiating, which means you'll fill up, you'll feel full from eating more protein than what you would from eating, say, carbohydrates, okay? So protein being your first nutrition habit, right? As I said, this is habit 2 because we have one habit at the end, which is the one you're going to focus on at the start. I just want to give you an overview of our system and how it sort of works. All right. Next one, right? We have the training side, right? This is the move often. As I spoke about before, the exercise activity being here. This is more where we talk about this when it comes to training, right? And then we have it being 20% of total weekly energy expenditure, so 20% of 700%. And then here we have 140, 150% being, mostly down to our NEAT, or our steps is the thing that we measure, right? So this is what we're going to focus on. You can measure it by different ways using a Fitbit, Apple Watch, Garmin, whatever you have, Polar. I use it with our clients with the Oura Ring because that works really, really well because that's how we measure your sleep as well. So we try and keep everything really simple and really like as much in one place as possible. So if you don't have an Oura Ring, I recommend that you buy one because it's going to help with a lot of things down the line with the coaching. All right, so NEAT is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It's a fancy way of just saying, steps, right? As said, moving me around right now is NEAT, but we can't measure that. People that are really fidgety, generally they have a lower body fat percentage. This is a really big reason as to why that sort of happens, right? But you get many benefits from getting steps in, right? You get increased energy expenditure, increased heart stroke volume. If you're doing a lot of walking, it can be sort of classed as cardio, but let's not worry too much about that. You'll get improved circulation, lower blood pressure, just from moving and getting those steps in, right? You measure it by habit number 3, increase step count. So what we tend to do, right, is if you look at how many steps you do per day, most people do on average 5,000 steps per day. And a great goal for your step count in the end is anywhere between 8 and 10,000. Right, going from 5 to 10,000 steps per day is a big jump. That's double your total your total NEAT. Right, so thinking about this in a smart way, maybe that is a bit too much, right? Because that will require a bunch of new habits to be implemented to get to that level, right? So if you're doing 5,000 steps per day, I would ask myself this question: on a scale from 1 to 10, how confident am I that I can get 10,000 steps per day and make it a habit? If I was doing 5,000 steps per day, I'd be thinking, okay, I'm about 7 out of 10 confident because I could increase some steps, but I don't really know how confident I am as I getting to 10. But I know I can increase some steps. So I'm about 7 out of 10 confident. That is not really solid, right? I would look at if I said to myself, okay, I'm doing 5,000 steps per day. Eventually I want to get to 10,000 steps per day, but how confident am I that I can get 7,000 steps per day? I'm pretty confident I could do that. I could get that 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 confident that I could get to 7,000 steps per day, right? What you want to make sure when you're implementing habits, okay, and the same goes with a protein in every single meal, you want to make sure that you are a 9 out of 10 confident, okay? And you want to be honest with yourself because you can start with adding protein to 2 meals per day, right? It doesn't have to be breakfast. Okay, and you can add that later on, right? So this could be the way that you step it up over time, and over time, this is actually how you're going to build really successful habits. Okay, so start with 7,000 steps if you're doing 5, then go up to 8, then go up to 9, then go up to 10, and then over time, you're going to be doing solid 10,000 steps per day, and you're going to lose a lot of weight. Right. The last one is the recovery part of the pyramid. Okay, so we have here, again, meditation is not going to help if you're sleeping 4 hours a night. You're still going to be tired, you're still going to be pissed off, you're still going to be stressed, because sleeping is actually how you get rid of the most amount of stress. Right? So you want to focus on sleeping more. Okay, sleep repairs our body, flushes out toxins from the brain, replenishes energy. Testosterone drops by 15% if we don't get more than 6 hours sleep or 5 hours sleep. I can't remember the exact figures right now. Cortisol increases, which is the stress hormone, right? So we'll stress more. Okay, ghrelin increases, which is the hunger hormone, and we'll feel hungrier. So if we don't sleep enough, we are probably going to make poor food choices when it comes to the time when we need to eat, right? Because when we go to the shopping center and you go to the shops and you're starving and you end up walking. The shops are set up to make you fail, but they put candy at the food at the checkouts, and you'll end up grabbing that thing. If you're hungry, you'll grab it, right? Unless you have amazing discipline, okay? But that's how they're set up, right? Because they know when you're hungry, you're going to make poor food choices, right? We have leptin as well, right? So leptin is the satiety hormone. All right, so when we are making poor food choices, we'll generally overeat as well when we're tired, okay? Because we won't feel full, right? As I said before, protein makes us feel full, right? You eat like a big, large chicken breast, you'll feel full pretty quickly, right? So just make sure that you get more sleep in, because you'll stress less, you'll make better food choices, you'll feel full from eating, because you want to eventually pay attention to like your fullness cues, right? As well as you'll end up doing more exercise. You'll also, I don't know why I didn't put this as a point, when you do sleep properly, you'll end up getting more steps, right? If you don't sleep very well, if you have a big night out on a Saturday night, even if you don't drink, the next day, your daily activity will generally be terrible, okay? So same goes there, right? You need to get you need to sleep well to get the steps in, right? So this is why these are fundamental, right? So the reason why we talk about these things is because, okay, sorry, next slide. I'll go into this in a second. Right here, we have the circadian rhythm, okay? This is what we need to focus on, right? Generally, you want to get yourself to bed around about 10 o'clock at night, 10:30 at night, waking up 6:30, okay? That is ideal, all right? So habit 4 is wake up at the same time every day, right? Because I find going to bed at the same time is the first part of the habit, right? So you eventually want to go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time, but generally going to bed at the same time requires a lot of self-discipline. Waking up at the same time, it requires you to put the alarm clock further away from your bed, and that way you'll just get up, and eventually you'll be tired and start going to bed at the same time every single day. But right, over the next 2 weeks, what you need to do is take photos of everything, because what we need to do is we need to work out which is the most important habit for you to focus on. Right, you might already be going to bed at the same time every day and waking up at the same time every day. You might be getting 7,000, 8,000 steps per day, and that maybe isn't the thing we need to focus on. But your nutrition, on the other hand, you're having a croissant, a donut, and a coffee for breakfast, and pizza for dinner. Maybe that is the thing we need to focus on, right? So we need to work out what that is. So awareness also brings change, and we focus on recording everything we do. That way, we know what is the habit you need to pick, and then we need to discuss or decide whether it is a 9 out of 10 confident that you can actually do it, 9 or 10 out of 10 confident that you can actually do it, and then scale it back or scale it up from there, right? So over the next 2 weeks, all you need to do is take pics, right? So you need to take a pic before you go to bed of your phone with your step count, and then also what time it is. So just a screenshot is one way to do it. So that will take your step count. Now, if you have Aura, that is the best way. You can sort of do it the day before. So if you go to sleep, you'll be able to screenshot your sleep record, like your sleep stuff, and then check your daily steps the day before at the same time, right? So recording that sort of 2 in 1, right? And then food is just take pictures of every single meal. What we find is with a lot of people is that most people know what is healthy food, what is unhealthy food, and then generally we just get you to keep taking pictures of food for a long time, because that way you'll start to self-coach yourself into making better food choices. Notice here I put a healthier looking meal as a picture rather than a pizza, right? So that is generally what happens with people. Okay, all right. From here, next 2 weeks, take photos of everything you do, send it to an accountability buddy, tell them what you're doing, all right, or a coach, tell them what you're doing and how you're going to do it. And that way they can give you a thumbs up every time you send a pic. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.